Okay. Jessie and Tyler. Do both of you write, or is it just Michael? And can we expect to see any films written by either of you? Oh, that's a good question. What?
You go first.
Okay.
'Cause-
Yeah.
yeah.
So Michael has written a lot, and he is insanely talented, and his ability to crank out pages, I'm talking dozens of pages
Yeah. What did you
in
guys tell me that was like the most he'd written in?
one day.
Yeah.
It was like 70 pages.
God damn, dude. Yeah.
And now it's not like, oh, I had a thought, I'm going to write it down. And, this is how, like now we're in the dialogue. It's that he's thought and constructed and read and built this world in his brain.
Mm-hmm.
And he has written other scripts based around in this world. So that particular script, which was actually the original Dresden Sun script before the one that is now our locked script, like 10 years ago. He cranked them out. So he just has a ton of experience. And right now, my goal is to support those writings.
Mm-hmm.
There is a script that he and I will both be writing. Also, my attention span is about that long. So when I go to write and I hit a wall that I really get in my brain, because I haven't written very much, so my ability to overcome the self-doubt is damn near nil. And I have a lot of work to do there. But with help, I can get through some stuff. So Michael and I are actually going to be writing a script that we'd hope to have in production by the end of 2022. And it's kind of 4 rooms meets Rashomon meets Lake Mungo.
Fuck. Okay.
And I'm tentatively calling it Encounter.
Nice.
And that's all I'm going to say. So that's...
It sounds familiar.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's good shit.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
And I've I feel like we have a lot of people like that we work with that are very humble. Tyler's one of those people. I've read his short. It's very good. So, yeah.
Nice. Thank you.
I'm sure that you have growth just like everybody else needs to,
Oh,
but I was
yeah.
I was impressed with the short. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I do hope to direct some the shorts that I've written, a few of them. I'm good at shorts because I can make, a 5-7 minute script.
I was gonna make a short joke about a short attention span.
That's about as long as the short film is about as long as my attention span can last for a story before my self-sabotage eats it. Yeah. Every short film was 70 or 90 pages, but my self-sabotage ate about 83 of them. So.
And then for me, I've always loved writing. I've been writing since I was a kid. Never scripts, though. I have one that I'm working on that I'm just not ready to share with the planet because no one deserves that, to be totally honest. It's super dark, and it's because it comes from my personal experiences, and a lot of those have been pretty dark. And there's very sweet moments in it because it's about basically a parent-child relationship within the realm of some really dark entity things. But I swear every time I sit down and write any of it and then I read it the next morning, I'll just be like, who the fuck wrote this? It's not for people.
Who broke into my room and replaced my script with this?
It's not for people yet. So someday maybe, but for now it's just I very much feel the same as Tyler. I'm very devoted to Michael's vision and that world that he's got going in his brain. So just let's pull that out and put it on display.
But I will say, and I will encourage you, Michael is a wonderful resource for you to hand him the script. And he's done professional script doctoring for $30 million movies.
Amazing.
He's ghostwritten on $35 million.
That's
films.
another thing I don't think people know about Michael.
No.
And again,
He's
because
highly qualified.
He's highly qualified and so fucking humble.
Yeah.
Almost to a detriment sometimes.
Yeah.
Which
Like nobody's heard his music.
Yeah. Fuck.
Dude,
Oh my
the listeners
God.
of this podcast have never heard Michael's music.
Yeah, and when they first, like, don't get me wrong, like, I will listen to anybody's music, give it to me right now.
Yeah.
But I was just, I wasn't expecting not to be impressed, but I was legitimately blown away and then offended immediately after that. I was like, why has this never
I've told him, I was just like,
damn.
dude.
I want a t-shirt right now. Like, it's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I want vinyl and I want a t-shirt.
I mean, yeah, it's OG Seattle grunge. It's
holy fuck.
It's fuzzy, dark, and it fucking roasts society, corporate society. I would say.
Holy shit! I mean, who better to do that than Michael? Like,
Exactly.
what the fuck?
Well, in hearing his music, you I think it actually informs the films that he's written.
Yeah,
and the
that's
short
the
films that he's
amazing
made.
part. Yeah,
they're all critiques
Totally.
of, corporatism.
Yeah.
and just
It's
the
phenomenal.
vampirism of that system.
Yeah.
And I mean, we have short films that we've made all regarding that stuff. Greed.
Yeah. And actually, you said one of his songs was in Interpreters too, in the bar.
It
scene.
was.
Yeah.
Yes.
Super cool.
Yeah. So you can get a little glimpse of it there.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Even a little glimpse is just like, as good as that was, it's still not good enough. Like, he just sent me, once he realized that I was into it, he just kept sending me tracks, and I'm just like, shit. Like,
he sent me
I
a new
just-
one because they're actually, he said that the band is still together, and he has 4 new songs, but he's going to remaster all the old songs, and they want to get in a studio and record the 4 new songs. So
That's
it's just badass. It's really good.
I'll be waiting with like bated breath. Holy shit.
Yes.
That was some phenomenal.
Yeah.
Just can't say enough good things about it.
Yep. Love it. Okay. Next question. Jessie, can you tell me more about when you use the term empathy and how it relates to your calling clairvoyance? Or is it a separate thing?
Oh, okay, so this is from a friend of ours.
Okay.
That message, and this is really cool because, like I said, I'm not going to out anybody that comes forward with paranormal stuff until they absolutely, unequivocally be like, "I would like you to," or something.
Yeah.
But
This is our friend. Yeah. He actually, they messaged me and they were like, "Wow, this really hit home with me because I have very similar experiences."
And he shared some of those with me.
Yeah.
And it keeps getting cooler every time.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say every time someone listens, but every time a specific person will listen to that episode, they'll immediately come tell me. And it's just like,
That's rad.
It's so fucking cool, dude. Like,
Yep. See, Daniel knows, right?
yeah.
Like the one person and now it's multiple.
Yep.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. And like I said, the only reason we're not like giving a list of all the people that have experienced is because that's dumb.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, that's their personal life story. And unless they want to put it on blast, that's their decision.
If they want to open
do
themselves
so.
up to all that, that's on them for sure. So
and you'll have to forgive me because again, like all of these are like, even like I've said in the past, like Daniel said in the past, clairvoyance feels like a weird thing to say. And it's just because like, there's not a whole lot in the lexicon to really go off of. Like there's different types of like there's like clairsentience, you can go down the rabbit hole and all of that. But so if you're a very empathetic person, and like I said, on one of the other episodes, there's a spectrum, I believe. So where it's just like all the way from psychopathy to full on complete and total empath. Meaning psychopathy, meaning somebody that is incapable of experiencing any type of real emotional empathy for anybody. Those kinds of people have cognitive empathy, which is what makes them like very cunning, malicious predators, is because they know what you're feeling. They just don't feel it too, or they don't give a shit. But like if you're for instance, if you're like higher on the scale of empath to where like you feel people's feelings with them, I feel like you probably are more so, like Daniel said, inclined to attracting things from like a different dimension,
Right.
a spirit world, something like that. Like he said, you glow differently than somebody else who maybe isn't higher on that scale. So that's kind of what I mean when I say that. And I think they definitely can be separate things. I don't think that every person that is a very empathetic person, just because you're not having experiences doesn't mean that you're not a feeling, kind, wonderful, warm human being. It's just, like I said, I think the higher you get on that spectrum in the empath direction, maybe the more capable you are of feeling things that other people maybe can't.
Yeah. And I would think that unless you have a real chemical imbalance that that prevents you from truly experiencing empathy,
Yeah.
We're all predisposed to
Yeah.
being empathetic.
Yeah.
But do you think that it could even be that ability to be able to dip more into that the clairvoyant side? Is it a muscle? I mean, is it something that you
Probably,
think?
yeah. I would say that just because the more that I kind of tried to start like quote unquote experimenting with it a little bit, it did get, I don't want to say worse.
Right.
It got worse in the
More
sense
intense.
that, it got a lot more intense.
Yeah.
And so I just like I was telling you the other day, like people will just vomit on me about problems, anything. And then I think the thing that hurts me the most when that happens for them is just I've had multiple people vomit on me and then look at me horrified and just go, I don't know why I told you all that.
Oh.
And that hurts because it was just like, I know that you don't know this, but I would never use any of this information to cause you any form of harm. Like that makes me feel bad, but it's hard. Again, if you're in a space with somebody who's really empathetic, you can feel it. You don't necessarily know that that's why you're getting all these and again, there's energy vampires, and then there's just normal people who just like, they need somebody to talk to sometimes. And it's just like, it's exhausting for the quote unquote empath. But it's just, I think it's something that you need to be able to shut off in order to have a healthy relationship, like with yourself, and have healthy boundaries. But it's also, I think, beneficial for other people. And I think if you have that ability, use it. It's somewhat of a gift. So
Hell yeah. Good stuff.
Alrighty. I hope I answered your question, by the way. I'm not, again, these topics are just so freaking new. And the only thing that I can answer them with is like or my own theories, and then just what other people who experience the same things tell me. So that's the only tool I have really to answer with.
Yeah.
Tyler, I am writing a script with my friend, and we are arguing a lot over how it could go and whatnot. Isn't it normal for there to be many rough drafts of a script? Shouldn't the story evolve somewhat when it is actually playing out versus being trapped in your head?
I'm going to say a resounding hell yeah. So this is really funny because yesterday Michael and I were talking on the phone, and we've gotten a lot of compliments on the script for Dresden Sun. And one of the main compliments is there's no plot holes.
That's a dope compliment.
Yeah, like it all makes sense in the world that it's built in, and it just flows very well. And I was telling Michael, I was like, and on this particular, again, there's two different drafts of Dresden Sun, or two different final drafts of Dresden Sun. So the one that came after Interpreters and the one that was written before Interpreters ever existed. So the one that existed after Interpreters is the one that we're making. The old one does not exist anymore. And I was like, yeah, I mean, we didn't really have that many drafts of this script. Maybe like 4 or 5 final drafts of this particular iteration of Dresden Sun. And he was like, yeah, but remember, this is probably draft 34 of Dresden Sun total, over the 2 different versions of it. And the story has lived in his head for a very long time. And we still had that many drafts. And you're going to have, listen, there's no set number of drafts. It's when you feel that you've got the story that you want to tell, that's the final draft. And even then, things are going to happen on the day of shooting that you're going to have to make, you're going to have a good producer that will help when a obstacle comes along to bypass that by changing the script. You have to cut and dice and paste and, and move things around in order for that stuff to work. So the only final draft is what you get in the final edit of the film. And then that's it. So there's no number of, you could have 50 drafts, I would just say that you need to have a shooting script that is locked. And at a certain point, you and your co-writer say, we're good. There's nothing, the only thing that can change on this script now is if we chop stuff out. We can no longer add anything because that's going to change the budget. But if we cut things, and it's going to add to the budget. But if we cut things, we could make cuts all day, obviously within reason. And it's not going to affect our ability to make the final film. Don't have 50 drafts and never get to the point of being able to make the movie. That's my biggest, lesson that I would like to say. So
nice.
Did that answer?
I think that did a good job at answering that question.
Yeah, maybe. Jessie, I really, really want to try Autopsy. See what you've done. Do you have any advice? I also grew up loving Forensic Files and such. I was on an episode of Forensic Files.
Really?
Yeah. I was a detective. I was on 2 episodes. I was young detective.
This is the shit that I'm talking about, dude.
Yeah, I had to
we've talked about
observe a
Forensic
body.
Files and just you withholding information for some reason.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Okay.
I was a young buck. I had McDreamy hair. I did. It was long, flowy, thick. It was great. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take away from your question.
No, it's just I'm just going to add you not telling me shit on the pet peeve list. Damn. My rage list.
See, I got to write a book, and then you could just read that and then be all caught up.
Sure. Yeah. Just Tyler's one of those guys that's I have a collection of close friends that know absolutely jack shit about me, but please read my autobiography.
Yeah. Very secretive. Yeah.
Pretentious.
There you go. Yeah. Just want it to trickle out,
Oh my God.
I don't want to puke it all out and then nobody's interested in what I got to say anymore.
Okay. I'm going to answer this poor person's question.
Yeah.
So, number 1, congratulations for joining the Freak Parade. I say that as a compliment. Let your freak flag fly. Lots of people will think you're weird for wanting to do it. Fuck those people. So the best advice I have, and here's the thing, is that this advice is actually probably going to vary from state to state because there's, like I've talked about before, there's medical examiner systems and there's sheriff coroner systems. I live in a sheriff coroner system, so what I did, at the time there was no intern programs because we live in a very small town. There's basically one place at that point in time before I got experience and was able to branch out. I worked so after I graduated medical assistant school, I was an intern at a lab. I was a cytotechnician. They hired me, and I was working there. And autopsy is kind of becoming a rare thing almost. There's always going to be a need for forensic autopsy. Autopsy in hospitals is slowly becoming more rare, and that's something I hear from a lot of pathologist assistants, pathologists themselves. Which is sad to me because autopsy is the center of medicine. That is where you learn about disease.
Yeah,
so I think that's incredibly unfortunate. So I went down to, I found where the place that they do autopsies, the morgue.
That place.
I went down to the sheriff coroner's office and I said, hey, I'm a cytotechnician at the lab down the street. Very interested in this career path. I've never been able to be in this environment before, so I'm not going to be able to know. And that's a very important thing for you too. Before you get into school, I don't know what your financial situation is. Before you set out on that road to commit to this, make sure that you can be in that room and that you can handle it. Because there's a lot of people that get in there that are convinced that it's what they want to do, And the second we take out the shears, they turn green and bolt for the door. There is nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's just, it's some people can handle it, some people can't. That's not wrong or right. It's just different strokes for different folks. So, so what I did, I bothered them 3 times. That was intentional because you want to be persistent, but you don't want to be annoying as fuck is the thing. And they're busy. Holy shit.
Yeah.
So I just walked in twice, so they kind of like got used to my face and whatever and my spiel. And then the 3rd time went in, I just gave them my info, and I was like, look, I'm a, like I said, cytotechnician at the lab down the street. I will be interested like from this day forth, but I'm also not going to bug you. So I was just like, basically the second that you have some sort of position available, give me a call.
Yeah.
So it was, 3 months later, I get a call. And they were like, we just opened an intern program and we remember you. Are you down? And I was like, yes, I told you I was down.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
Still down.
So I was like, absolutely. So they gave me the specs, and it's not like you will, just because I did that doesn't mean that I was immediately guaranteed the position. I still had to go through like the whole application process, and it'll be different everywhere. For this one, it was like a certain amount of page. I think it was a 12-page essay, official transcripts from my college, just proving what courses I'd had that qualified me for that position.
Yeah.
And then, let's see, what else was it? I am forgetting what else there was. Anyway, it was like this giant portfolio that I put together basically. And just honestly on passion alone, I beat out 60 other people that had better degrees than me. And again, that was only because like when I wrote my essay, I just told them why I wanted to do autopsy.
Yeah.
And so they, in the interview, and the lieutenant was super friendly and funny because he called and he was like, he told the secretary, because the secretary and I were kind of close at one point, and he was just like, don't tell her, I want to tell her. It was kind of adorable. I was like, okay. But they picked me. Passion alone was the thing that got me into that door. So don't sell yourself short. If you want to do it, go do it.
Yeah.
So my best advice is just be tenacious.
Yeah.
Don't be annoying. And also just read as much as you can about it, because one of the other things that I did was I brought all my books with me. And I was just like, it's not just that I think I want to do this. This is the only thing I even do in my spare time. So, I think my best advice is just be tenacious, find out what the rules are for your state. Yeah. And then just go bug some people.
Would it have been more difficult if you were in a non-sheriff corner system?
I don't totally know, because like I've never had an experience with an ME system.
Oh, okay.
I kind of know how they work, but in terms of being an intern and being brand new, I've heard of one other girl who works in an ME system, and granted, she went into autopsy in the hospital, not forensically. But yeah, same thing with her. She was just like, I just bugged the shit out of the head pathologist until he gave me a call back. So yeah, so it's just like, again, like I get there's a fine line. You definitely don't want to be annoying, but also just let them know that like, you're in it for the long haul. Yeah. So yeah.
Let them know that,
before I
sell it.
Yeah. Before I found film and Tyler and Michael, I was in it for the long haul.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I think passion will get you a long ways, at least, and it's okay too if your passions change,
Absolutely.
So, if you're young, throw yourself into it and explore that option, because you won't know if it's not for you if you don't get in there and try.
Yeah. And by the way,
can you shadow? Like, are you allowed to?
Some places do. That's what I was going to say. Some places do. Some places absolutely don't.
Yeah.
Like, you are absolutely not allowed to shadow down here.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's just because they're strapped for people, so it's just a lot of bodies in a room at one time, and they're really the only time they make exceptions is for students that are already enrolled in programs.
Okay.
So that's another thing you could probably do, is just like, if you're at your college, just say, hey, is there any way, like, I'm not sure if you're pre-med, because when I was pre-med, you could just go through the biology thing, but at that point I was already in MA school, because I knew I was going to have to finance my college career further. And so I was just like, I have to become a medical assistant so I can get out of the minimum wage bracket and keep funding my education.
There you go.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's why I wasn't pre-med yet.
Yeah.
But
That's good info.
yeah, so I mean, just, and like I said, or like Tyler said, if your passions change, that's totally fine.
Mhm.
Like, you're going to have to reinvent yourself
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and there's no shame in that.
No. And when you looking back when I was 24 or 20, I was 21 when I moved to LA, and looking back now, like it's only been 16 years, and man, at the time you're thinking like, this is it. Like this is it. Like I can't veer off and do other stuff. But I went and did other stuff.
Yeah.
I went and tried to just do whatever, because I knew that this is what I wanted to do in the long run. I always knew that my paths would converge back to film, and it did on multiple occasions. And so, don't let that fear of change, dissuade you from trying other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, do as much as you can. Because again, eventually you're going to be 85 years old, and all you're going to have is time to think about what you didn't do.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
try and minimize those thoughts, and hopefully you can remember when you're 85, hopefully you can remember.
Also,
your
another
younger
thing,
years.
if you have somebody in your life that's like running you down for being passionate about for anything, fuck that person.
Yeah.
Like that's only going to help you. It's
Yeah.
not going to hinder you. So no, be
Yeah.
passionate.
Minimize your presence in their life.
Light yourself on fire.
Yeah.
That's not good advice.
Like self-immolation. What is that called?
Self-mutilation.
Well,
Or-
what's the when you actually do light yourself on fire in protest? Isn't it like self-immolation or something like that?
No, we're both stupid.
Man. Yeah. Listen, I'm sure there's
Cremate yourself.
one other listener out there that's like yelling at their
Yeah.
phone.
Mm-hmm. Just like,
But
I'm so
every
sick
other
of these
listener's like,
idiots.
yeah, we don't know either. We're with them. We're with the majority. Cool.
Tyler, what do you look for in a script? What do you look for in a project or in a director? Will you work with other directors besides Michael Ryan in the future? Not to say that he isn't awesome, just curious about future projects.
In a script, I look for it to move me, whether it's emotionally, sexually, or spiritually. So, like for real, like those are the things that I look for. And maybe a really, really good script has all three of them. So,
Right.
the types of films that we make, we are not drawn towards the sometimes the sexual stuff is very low hanging fruit, and you have to be very conscientious of that. And if somebody's throwing in, a love scene because they want to get a particular actor to act in that so that they can direct that or, see that, like that is just not correct. So, and it's going to stand out.
And that's not to say that, because I know that thing on Twitter was going around for a while that like aren't sex scenes in movies like pointless. And I disagree with that heavily. I think they're good for the story in a lot of ways, but what you just said is a completely different thing.
There's a tasteful way,
Yeah.
and then there's Lars von Trier.
Uh-oh.
And he is a director, a Danish director, who that's what he does. He shocks you with his sexual nature in his films.
Oh dear.
And I don't know. I mean, there's a place for it. There is. There's tasteful ways of doing it, and there's exploitative ways of doing it. And it's just I don't write that stuff. I don't really have an interest in making films that are particularly like that. I'll watch them because I have a real fascination because I think there's a lot of courage that goes into saying, this is what the movie's going to be about. It's going to be about a very sexual being.
Yeah.
And, if that's not your thing, then don't watch this film. But yeah. So, there's a time and place. So yeah, just a good script is balanced. It's well written. It's in a industry standard format. Use Final Draft Pro. It'll save you so much time, and it's got tutorials built into it. It's fantastic. So make sure that you're using industry standard stuff.
We all use that, by the way.
Yeah, if you are if you're writing a script that is kind of experimental, be prepared to direct it yourself at this point, because unless you have created you need to create your brand, that this is you, that you write crazy stuff, and it looks really good when it's filmed. So, so I'm not saying that industry standard format, particularly for, story structure, but if you're going to veer away from the industry standard for story structure, you better be really damn good. So, because there's a structure for a reason, and you need to learn how to work between those lines, in my opinion. Will I work with other directors besides Michael? Yeah, we are. We
were actually just talking about it before we hit the record button.
Yeah. So we have a film that we're going to be producing, packaging and producing as soon as Dresden's Son is wrapped. Mm-hmm. So
we're pretty excited about it.
I'm ridiculously excited. Like, it's a comedy horror, I'll say.
Yeah. And I read the script. Yeah. I read the script a couple months ago, and I was like, yeah.
Yeah. And it's written by someone who is in the industry. You'd know who it is. And he's got people already interested in being in it that you would know. So I'm just stupid excited. It's pretty cool. It's going to be really, really rad. But beyond that, I mean, listen, we're open. Again, if the script has, I have a little bit of hesitancy of, reading a script that's just out of the blue with nothing attached to it, because there's so many of those out there. What's rare is when you have a script that has some sense of attachment from the outer, from the inner workings, or you have some money to back it up. You have some skin in the game, because you spent the time to write the movie, and you poured your heart out onto the page. But at the end of the day, it's going to be very, very difficult to convince a complete stranger to finance your film, because you can't get offended at that. Just because they're not emotionally invested in your story doesn't mean that they're shitty people. It's that we all have our own passions, and we've worked really hard to get where we're at. And chances are we have a project that we're really passionate about, but we're not pissed off at you for going out and writing another project.
No.
It's like,
sure.
It's just the nature of it. So bring something of value with the script,
And kind of like even Adam said, when he shows someone a script, like, here's my heart. And that's definitely what we're looking for, where it's just like, I don't want something that just looks like it's going to make some money real quick.
Yeah. Well, and now Adam has 3 movies out there that are, they speak for themselves. And now we know that if Adam comes to us with a script, we know it's going to be good. Yeah. So it's a matter of, can we, how can we help?
Yeah. And you'll hear 1,000 no's before you hear the one yes that changes things for you.
We've heard 1,000 no's. Yeah. No doubt. Dresden's Son, the original, we approached hundreds of people. I mean, we were knocking on every door. We exhausted every avenue. And that is why we wrote interpreters, so that we could get a film made. Whether or not it was going to, be a festival darling or not, we didn't care. We knew we needed a movie to prove that we could do it on a low budget. So that's what we did.
Very cool.
Yeah. Jessie, what is your main reason for being so passionate about wanting to be a producer? Are you nervous about starting that process?
Oh my God. I'm terrified, dude. And not terrified in the sense that, like, I'm so excited to do it. But, I have a thing about, like, don't fuck with other people. I think I told you and Michael that, and, like, the one that we recorded together. I just don't want to let anybody down. Like, that's the main thing that I freak out about on a daily basis, no matter what I'm doing, is, like, I just want to be the best support to everybody in my life. That includes my creative partners. Yeah. I think the main reason I'm passionate about it is just because, like we've been talking about, like, there's people out there with stories that I just want to see it made.
Yeah.
And, I want to see somebody's heart on display on a screen, and, their message, their vision, whatever. Just let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's fucking do it.
Yep. And if it's any consolation, I mean, we're all, deep inside, we're all like freaking out.
Yeah. And I get that, but it's just, I think
Yeah.
we all have our own reasons, I think, for.
Yeah. And once you've had, more experience, you'll have that sense of, I freaked out before, but we did it.
Yeah.
And so I know that feeling is probably excitement. It's a little less of self-doubt and insecurity, and more of, wow, like, this is it.
Yeah, no, this
is what I've been rehearsing for.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
It's, that excitement will slip into that stuff. So,
Sweet.
Yeah.
Where am I? Tyler, what is the hardest part about moving to LA and trying to find acting work? I would like to do that, and I'm very nervous.
I would say I went down to LA one day, like flew down, met someone, flew back that same night. And then 2 weeks later, I moved to Los Angeles. I didn't know anybody. I knew one guy for like a day and a half when they were, making some short films up here in this area. And he had moved to Los Angeles like 2 years after the last time I ever saw him. And so that was the only person that I knew in LA. So I found him on like Facebook or something. And I was like, hey, Reading native here. We worked on this project like a few years ago. I'm moving to Los Angeles. Could I crash on your couch, for a few nights, and so I can get my feet under me? And long story short, he said, yeah. And that was, the looking back, I don't know what I thought was like the hardest part. I think I was excited.
Yeah.
I was excited. I was stoked to be finally on my own. And I just met great people. I was sleeping on this couch for like $900 a month. And it was a polyester fake leather orange couch that was about 4 feet long. And it was a sleeper couch, but the mattress on there was like that thick, and it went like this, like a wave. And I was like, I'm just going to keep it together. And I would just kick my legs over the arm, and then my head could still jam up against the other arm with a pillow.
Sounds so appealing.
And I was like, but dude, I'm out, man. Like, this is me right now. And I met some people in an acting class, and they were like, you need to move to Santa Monica with us. You can sleep on our futon. And I was dude on futon. That was DOF. And and I was there for like 6 months, and I got a job. I got my own apartment after that, and I just met great people. So life is hard. So figuring out that you want to go, I think, is the hardest part. And then once you make that decision, because it's the right decision, it's not hard. Like there's obstacles, but it's not difficult because you want to do it. Anything you want to do, to anybody else on the outside would be like, damn, like that guy's going through some stuff. But to me, I was just ecstatic. I was happy, and I, my family was very supportive of me. My friends back home or here, they were very supportive of me. So I felt really good about it. Yeah. I knew I was making the right decision.
And anything that's like worth doing is going to scare the shit out of you a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's going to be something that's going to push you way outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So just get used to that one, dude.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, nothing I've ever done that was worth my time ever felt like, oh, I'm totally in my element right now.
Right.
Not at all.
No.
So,
no, if that's happening, it's going to get boring.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be super boring.
Yeah. And you won't grow ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The, the part about trying to find acting work, never say no unless it's for something that makes you feel very uncomfortable. Never do nudity in films that you're not being, that you're not being paid very, very handsomely for. But the acting side is there's so many opportunities for acting gigs down south. You have the opportunity to go to Central Casting to be an extra. If you ever want to get jacked up, excited, be an extra on a real Hollywood studio set. And I was an extra on the show Las Vegas. I was a craps dealer. And it was 105 degrees outside. And I was dressed in all black as a dealer. And I was just stoked because James Caan, I just witnessed James Caan, like standing 6 feet from me. The lead female was rolling dice at my table. I was the dealer for her. And,
Nice.
the camera was
Nice,
right
nice,
there on
nice.
her. And I wasn't even close to being in the shot. But, I was just like, dude, this is happening. And I was jazzed. I'd never experienced that before. So, and then do student films. There's always going to be student films. Do those. Work for free. Do a lot of them and make friends, make connections. And, 10 years down the road, I guarantee you those connections are going to come in handy. If you have enough of them, there's no way in hell and you're good to them and you help them. Those are going to come back tenfold. So
That's good advice.
yeah. Oh, let's see here. Okay, Jessie. To me, vulnerability feels like I'm wearing my heart on my sleeve, and I can't do that. Isn't being emotional something that should be controlled rather than encouraged?
I feel you on that one. Interestingly enough, you have two thought processes going on in this same question. So, yeah, you do need to have control over your emotions. You can't just blast those all over everybody 24/7. It's not good for other people, and it's definitely not good for you. But no, you showing your emotions should be encouraged. And it's going to feel weird at first, and so here's the thing. I didn't get a chance to talk to you about this before we were answering this question, so I'm going to do one of my pet peeves, and I'm going to make some assumptions. Obviously, if they aren't true, that's fine. But just for this, I'm just getting some vibes that vulnerability is something that has been weaponized against you in the past. And that's super fucking unfortunate that somebody did that to you, because then it creates this thing where you're just this closed off person because you're trying to protect yourself. And I'm really sorry that that's something that you went through at one point. But it's very necessary to build strong connections with other people. And you can't expect anybody to ever get vulnerable with you and to have a meaningful relationship with somebody if you are incapable of giving that back.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to know that really until your friends feel not fake. I've never had a feeling that one of my friendships was fake, but I did have somebody call me a robot one time. And that hurt me for some reason, and I didn't know why. And again, it's because this person, they can come to me. I am a vault in the sense that you can throw up on me and your information isn't going to be leaked anywhere. But also, if I'm not giving you anything back, it's just oh, okay, I feel really exposed. And that's not fair to do to somebody else. So just gauge those interactions. I feel like you'll get better at knowing who's safe to divulge information to and to be very open with, and who maybe isn't. So, no, control your emotions, understand your emotions.
Process them,
keep them in check, vibe check yourself. But no, I think it's, being again, empathetic, vulnerable person, I think is only a strength. It's not a weakness. So, explore that a little bit. And I'm, again, like I said, I'm sorry that your vulnerability at some point, probably when you were young, was weaponized against you. That really sucks.
Yeah. I think building on that, there's rational emotions and there's irrational emotions.
For sure.
And learning to identify them might require, a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a desire, if you want to be vulnerable, but you just don't know how.
Yeah.
Because it's, you have this trauma from past that is preventing you from figuring out what's the healthy way to express myself. That's where I think a therapist would really come in handy, for that person, because emotions are natural.
Yes.
Being overly emotional can be harmful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, everybody's got to learn how to handle their emotions, because that goes for being too happy, to being too ragey. There's a balance,
And if we can go with metaphors, like, don't wear your heart on your sleeve, but maybe just wear it underneath.
Yeah.
Because it's
keep it in your chest.
Yeah. Because it's just have it there to show somebody that you are able to show it to. But don't just, toss it. Because I mean, that is something that can be weaponized against you. And it's just like, it's fucking unfair that there's people out there that are willing to do like stoop low like that. But there are. And that sucks. So.
And something that's always visible kind of loses some of its mystique and value. So, make them earn it, but don't be so hard and callous that the person can never earn, that vulnerability.
Yeah. And I appreciate the fact that that's going to be really difficult for you, depending on how much you were honestly just beat up on emotionally. So I'm sorry about that. Tyler, I want to propose to my girlfriend. I know that marriage is kind of old-fashioned at this point, but I still think it is romantic. Did you get any kind of shit for being married in the Hollywood sphere? Or do you get any shit for being married in the Hollywood sphere?
I've never heard of there being any sort of pushback.
I think it's a millennial thing, to be totally honest with you, because I know that there's like a lot of millennials, I'm one of them, that just aren't getting married. And I don't think that's necessarily like a, I think it's a personal thing, really.
Yeah, I mean, there was a point in my life where I was like, man, I'm never going to get married.
Yeah.
Like I enjoy being able to go out and hang out with my friends and but as you get older, I would encourage people to mature out of feeling like they need to go out and party all the time. And, if marriage is really just not your thing because you want to be by yourself, that's up to you, I guess. But, I mean, I've never had any pushback. A bunch of my actor friends are married or they have long-term partners. I think legally they could qualify for the 7-year of, the community property laws in California. But I mean, because they've been with the same partner for that long. But no, I mean, to me, everything good happened after I got married. It was a sense of stability, which I never had, even growing up, being a child in a fractured house, I just never had that stability, and I continued that all the way through until I met pretty much the most stable person I've ever met, in my wife. And she's so stable, and like, we just get each other, we get along so wonderfully. And it truly takes a special person to put up with a creative person like myself who has a bunch of ideas and is always talking about, oh man, like this would be so cool, like, and is a child in a lot of ways.
It was pretty miraculous at the premiere to watch her just like get up next to you.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Just start. No, it was like, it was phenomenal from like a third person perspective. Like I was like, that's support, dude.
Yeah.
And not in a way where it's like, oh, that's cute, she supports this psychotic man.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. It was just just very it's like you guys are solid and it's very obvious. So
and
I thought it was rad as fuck.
So I mean, I would encourage you not to see that. Here's my thing too, is that whole thinking in absolutes and this dogmatic thinking of marriage is old fashioned. Yeah, so what? Like,
it's a little antiquated, but if you find it.
But it's also really, really nice when, maybe you have a very stable family that you feel very whole in. But I think at a certain point, it's just, there's something about making that commitment, and if it's to the right person, it'll just never be a thought of, it won't scare you. Like, what's there to really, truly be afraid of? If it's the right person, it's just like living with your best friend, you know,
Yeah.
forever, forever and ever.
Yeah.
And
if
as you get older, that doesn't sound so bad.
If you think it's romantic, then it's romantic to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's
Yeah.
totally fine. I know that there's a lot of millennials that are kind of just like, you know, kind of turn their nose up at it. And that's fine. That's their choice. Like,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
like to each their own. So
Yeah.
you do you. And if you think it's, I also think it's romantic. I've never been married. You know, I don't really see that happening in the near future
Yeah.
for myself. But I mean, I also think it's romantic, and it just makes sure that's something you both want to. Because if one partner is just like, I need that commitment, that's fair. They deserve to be with somebody that can reciprocate that or make them feel, I guess, safe in that way.
Yeah.
And if that's not something that you want, you guys, you got to hash that out. Like,
Big time. Big time. And yeah, I mean, I would just encourage yourself to recognize that maybe you're thinking this now, but allow yourself to grow. And if it stays the same because, you know, you've grown in other ways, or maybe one day you're like, you know what, man, Tyler was right.
Well, and then again, like
really
getting shit for
matured.
being married. Fuck what people think, dude.
Yeah,
like,
I've never
it's-
gotten that.
Yeah, just
Never
do,
gotten that.
like I said, do what you feel is
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And
And that's in the movies. That's the romantic part, is thinking like you're going to have your buddies ribbing you like, oh, the old ball and chain.
yeah,
Here we go. Like that's in the movies.
yeah.
That's romantic. You know, like that's the idealized version of what you think your buddies are going to do. Ultimately, they're doing that because they're jealous. You know, because they're like, fuck, man, this guy's got it. You know, he's got a cool partner. And, you know, I wish I had that.
And honestly,
I'm just going to be frustrated looking for my next hookup. Like,
right.
you know?
Yeah. And here's the thing, again, everybody to each their own, totally fine. I would question though, and this doesn't sound like this is your thing. But I would question if you have a girlfriend that wants commitment and you don't want that. It's just, I mean, just worth looking into why that's the thing. And again, if it's just because you think that marriage is antiquated and you want to take a stance on that, like Ron Swanson, you know, again, you do you. It's just, you know, maybe question why you're so afraid of that. Because I'm also the type that I don't think prenuptials, there's a lot of people that think that prenuptials are like really shitty. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. To me, it's just a security of like, I'm marrying you because I love you.
Yeah.
I don't give a fucking shit about your paycheck or whatever.
Yeah.
And if for some reason we do get a divorce or get separated, there's just that added protection of, I'm not going to freak out in a moment of like anger at this person that I used to like, you know, deeply care about and do something stupid with a lawyer. So to me, that's almost romantic too. Just like, again, it's like we weren't getting married for assets or money. We're getting married because like, you know, you just want that moment of committing to somebody in front of friends and family. And I think that's beautiful if that's what you want.
Exactly. And I would caution people because, you know, I grew up in a very evangelical, I call it a Bible bubble. Right. And I had friends that got married as soon as they turned 18. And when I was growing up, I thought that was going to be me. I thought I was going to be 23. I got my real estate license. I thought I was going to be a realtor, and I'd have a wife and kids. And
you as a realtor is just funny as fuck.
I didn't sell a single freaking thing, man. I was terrified. I was just a boy. But that's the point, is that, you know, I would encourage people to listen. When you're 30 years old, you will be 60 when your kid is 30. That's not bad. That's not a bad
and some people
gap.
become parents. Like my mom, my little sister and I are 17 years apart. She had her when she was 43. It was like her easiest pregnancy.
Oh, wow.
Some people are just parents later in life. That's fine.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And so if you're not ready, take your time. If you're not happy with the person you're with, don't waste your time. You know, don't be an asshole, but you know,
for sure.
As much time as we have, it is finite. So, you know, just, Don't be pressured into marriage. If it happens, it happens. Don't freak out.
And if the two of you are happy never making that like paper
Yeah.
commitment or whatever, totally good.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, you definitely need to have that conversation. Like if one of you wants it and one of you doesn't, that's
Yeah.
going to put some strain on things, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, my experience is it's been great.
Yeah.
So I do feel lucky because I know a lot of people that it did not work out.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something there where either one of them was pressured into it, they wanted to do it for optics because their family didn't approve of whatever the living situation was, and
That
they
sucks.
succumbed to that pressure. Their religious, ideologies. There's so many different things that press you into marriage. Try and identify those and just don't let them eat at you.
Yeah.
So, Jessie, next question here for you. I'm asking you because I can't ask anyone close to me, and I'm afraid. I just got diagnosed with CIN1 during a PAP. I was ushered out of the office pretty quick, and I was in shock and don't think I heard the doctor right. Do I have HPV? First of all, what is CIN1?
Yeah.
What's a PAP?
Okay, so for starters, so this is going to be, and all the guys listening, just settle down and listen to Uncle Jessica tell you about some shit. Because like you're going to have to hear lady stuff every so often. I'm really fucking sorry. This one actually really broke my heart because I just, God damn it. I've worked with doctors like this, and I've worked with some really amazing doctors that will get down on eye level with you and communicate to you about what they have just told you that you have or don't have. I understand that this dude was probably busy. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt, whatever. But I'm kind of embarrassed for him that he didn't understand the whole shock response. Again, these are big words, and not everybody is taught these. Like the education system about like medicine, especially sex health in this country, is just fucking abysmal. Don't get me started. But so it made me sad, and I wanted to answer you right then and there, honestly, when we got this question, but I wanted to answer it more in depth because you had somebody that didn't answer that question appropriately for you. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm gonna always say that. I would actually encourage you to probably find a different doctor after that, because you don't deserve to be looked at like a time slot.
Yeah.
So, but I'll explain to you as best I can. So I've written down some stuff for you. So what she had, if nobody understands, is a pap smear. So when you, as a female, you're supposed to get them every 3 years. Those numbers change sometimes depending on how active or not active you are. They also change with age. But basically what happened was all of us have to do it. You get put in the stirrups, and they use like this, it's called a speculum, and they pry your shit open. It's so fun.
Doesn't sound very comfortable.
No. And basically what happened was they took like a scrape of the cells on your cervix, and then they put it on a little microscope slide that then goes to a lab, and a doctor will look at that under a microscope and look at your cervix cells.
Oh, wow.
That's one of the things that I used to help out with back when I was a cytotech. So basically what you have, and again, just bear with me. I'm going to try to go as in depth as I can just to make sure that you're not scared anymore. So to answer your question, and again, please keep listening. Don't freak out. Yes, you do have HPV. What that CIN1 stands for is cervical intraepithelial neoplasia, and you have level 1. So you have abnormal pap cells, basically, cervix cells. So they're kind of pissed off, which means that you've been exposed to HPV. Like I said, there's 100 different strains. Only 14 of them are high risk or cancerous. What this now means is you just need to be super careful. Lots of protection during sex. There's no way to identify. And I don't know how active you are. It's not a big deal if you're quote unquote very active. That's your personal business. Totally fine. Whether you're really active or not, like there's no way to really know unless you're completely monogamous who came into contact with this and then gave it to you. So basically your cells are kind of a little pissed off right now. caused, like I said, caused cell changes. It's usually where it stands, like, and it's not really, if you kind of keep being careful, it's going to stay there. There's a small chance it can progress and become precancerous or possibly cancerous. So you'll need to just keep
Small
going
chance.
in. Yeah, it's pretty small. So you'll just need to keep going in for regular PAPs. When you move into like CIN 2 or 3, these are now considered precancerous cells, and they usually refer to that as in situ, which is a Latin word just meaning like on site, in place. So they're not moving yet. Really only when they become like so pissed off that they now, like these pissed off cells will then start moving into other places like your lymphatic system or something like that. That is now officially a cancer diagnosis. You do not have cancer at the one stage.
Yeah.
But again, you were exposed. Angry cells, abnormal PAP cells is what that means. So you'll definitely want to just keep monitoring it. If you do, another question we get in healthcare a lot when somebody gets diagnosed with that is like, am I going to give it to my partner? Yeah, you'll give it to your partner. The cool thing though about like certain strains of HPV is if you guys are monogamous with each other, the more you have intimacy between the two of you, you will build up an immunity to that strain with each other, which is super cool.
That's very interesting.
It's very weird. I've always found that fascinating. But
wow.
Yeah.
And what are the treatments that are available?
So we're if you're in the precancerous stage, one of the things they do is freeze your cervix. Again, to freeze that.
They burn because they're like warts, right?
Essentially, yeah. And you can have
and you can burn them away.
Yeah. And so they'll freeze your cervix and to keep those cells again, those in situ cells from spreading and getting more pissed off. And, like I said, it's spreading to hopefully not a lymphatic system. But, yeah, it's very treatable. It's super common.
Very common.
So common. Yeah. One thing I would encourage you to find out is if any of the other women in your family have cervical cancer or a history of cervical cancer.
Yeah.
That will increase your chances. But the good thing about one, and again, please do not feel dirty. Like everybody has been exposed to the HPV virus. Some of us just don't know. So unless you have been monogamous from the jump, you've probably been exposed to it. You probably have it. You probably don't have symptoms. Guys almost never show symptoms. So please don't feel gross. Like there's nothing wrong with you. But just for your health, I would encourage you just to, again, continue to practice safe sex. There's nothing wrong with you. You do not have cancer. And I'm sorry that doctor was just like, get the fuck out of my office, basically. Like that was super helpful.
Yeah.
I love hearing that.
Thanks. That's great.
Yeah.
Wow.
But no, definitely continue to go in for routine PAPs though. Anything that they recommend. That's another thing. I don't know if that dick even recommended what you're supposed to do next, because usually at this stage they're like, oops, you might want to just kind of monitor it a little bit. So yeah, just keep monitoring it, practice safe sex. You'll be okay at this point in time. Again, not a doctor. Please get a different doctor than the one that saw you for this, but you're going to be okay. Just just monitor it.
That's good.